Hi friends, I'm Jesse from ShrinkRC.com. We make body mounts and accessories for scale RC trucks. I wanted to give you guys an update on what I've been up to. I haven't posted in a couple months. I want to tell you why, tell you what I've been working on and what's coming up. So a lot of you don't know this, but I am a full-time professional designer, and I design products for the consumer electronics industry and off-road vehicle audio systems. So Shrink RC is what I do in the evenings and on the weekends. First comes my full-time job, then comes Shrink RC. And when it comes to Shrink RC, the first thing I need to worry about is fulfilling customer orders, keeping my machines running, and making sure that I'm answering all the questions that I get about products. So December and January, I'm glad to say, were two of our busiest months we've ever had, and that's great news. The other thing that I've been doing is working on some new designs that I'm coming up with, and that's my second priority, is developing new products for the upcoming year. And last thing that I worry about is promoting my products, and that's why YouTube isn't always a regular, for example, it's not a weekly thing for me. So I come up on YouTube, and what you're used to seeing me do is when I come on YouTube, I've got a build all done, and I wanted to show you the latest build I've completed. And one of the reasons I've been holding off is I haven't finished any new builds in a while. I've been working on a bunch of different things, but I haven't had anything that I felt was ready to present. And in fact, today I don't have a finished build to show you either, but I do have a lot of things in progress, and I thought I should take some time to let everybody know what's going on. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel and like, comment, all those good things. That does really help. You obviously support us the most when you go to ShrinkRC.com and you buy our products. You can also help by clicking on affiliate links, and a really important thing you can do is to tell your friends about us and help educate everybody else about hard bodies, scale hard bodies, scale RC crawling, tell them about us. So let me jump right into it. One of the things I've been working on is interiors for these baby trucks. I call them baby trucks. These are 124 and 118. In some cases, there's not much difference between the scale. I feel like this one they're calling a 124, which is from FMS. This is a FMS FCX24. This, of course, is a Traxxas TRX4M. They call this a 118. They call this a 124, but I don't know. You tell me which one you think is bigger. 118 ought to be a lot bigger than 124. The fact of the matter is this 124 is probably closer to 118, and this 118 is around 119 in my opinion. So one of the things I've been working on is interiors for these baby trucks. I don't know how well that's going to show up on the camera. I probably should have grabbed an interior to show you guys, but this is a full, correct Ford Ranger interior inside of this. I've also got tonneau covers and toolboxes, and I recently came out with a short tonneau cover that works with the full width toolbox. So if you already have one of these toolboxes or you'd like to get one of them and you also want to run a tonneau cover, you can do that now. We also made an interior for, I think this one will show up maybe a little bit better because I got the window cut out on the side. But that's the FCX24 Blazer, and I made bucket seats for this one because that's what's appropriate for the Blazer. I've also got we've got a hood scoop for the F100, F150, whatever you want to call it too. They're almost identical. That's a long story, but if you guys know Ford history, you know that F100s, F150s from this era are very, very similar. We've also got interiors and dually fenders, same shorty tonneau cover. It's actually different for each of these trucks. Full width toolbox, hood scoop for the F100, interiors for these baby trucks. I call them, they've been really becoming one of our most popular products, I'm glad to say. And I'm actually getting ready to do an interior for the Bronco, and I also just ordered up a Traxxas TRX4M Defender. So I've got interiors coming for the Bronco and the Defender soon. Let me set these over here. Another thing, if you've been following us, you guys follow us on Instagram and Facebook as well. Another thing I wanted to show you guys is, and there's two things to show you here. One of them is our portal truck stands. You know, we make truck stands. You can see them back here on all these trucks. We make two sizes of truck stand. We make a size that's short, and it's meant for straight axles with a up to 4.19 size tire. If you have bigger than a 4.19 tire, or if you have portal axles, or both, then you need to go with our taller truck stands. And I made a really slight revision to these taller ones recently. And that is these were a little bit wider before, and if you had portals on some of the trucks, it used to kind of ride up the side of the portal like this. And so what I've done is narrowed them up a little bit so that it can rest almost all the way down on the axle here. And this width was set because it's the ideal width to work with most of the portal axles in the almost perfect spot. And you can see this one's got big old tires on it, 4.75, and portals as well, and there's still clearance to rest your truck on this. One of the things I wanted to mention is there's a common misconception about tires and springs on these trucks and whether or not you need to rest them. And now whether or not you need to rest your tires is going to depend on, and I say that to keep you from getting flat spots on them. One of the reasons you would need to rest your tires is if you have a really heavy truck or real light foams. What will happen if you leave your truck sitting a long time, that tire is going to compress like this and it gets kind of a flat spot on it. It doesn't happen on every truck. Like I say, it depends on the weight of the truck, depends on the foams that you have in it. But if you have a truck that's been sitting on a shelf a long time, and some of my trucks do sit a long time because I have so many of them, what putting it on a stand will do is it looks nice on the shelf, but it will also keep that tire from sitting compressed like this and getting a flat spot on it. I've heard some people say that, well, they don't like this kind of a stand because it doesn't let your spring rest. Now that's a common misconception that you need to rest springs. If you have a spring that you've overloaded and you put too much weight on it, you will permanently damage that spring and no amount of resting will bring it back. If it is the right size spring though, and you're just compressing it and you're not overloading it, having it, it's called static compression when you set a weight down on that spring and you leave it compressed. Static compression doesn't do anything to harm your spring. What wears out springs is cycling them, meaning you're repeatedly putting compression on that spring and relaxing it, putting compression on it again and relaxing it again, waving my arms around like a crazy man. But if you keep doing that to a spring, you cycle it enough times, eventually you'll wear it out. And like I mentioned, if you overload a spring, you'll actually just permanently damage it. But if you're just putting static compression on a spring with a weight that it's designed to hold, it won't harm it. And so it's okay to store things with a spring compress. This applies to some other hobbies as well. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you, jumping off of the springs and tires and these truck stands, this is our body mounts for the VRD. This is the new Vanquish VRD. This one is the carbon kit, and it's almost ready to run. The only thing that's been holding me back is getting this body sanded up and painted. Other than that, I'm basically ready to go. I've got all my electronics installed in it. It's all fully built. This seems like it's going to be, I'm guessing this is going to be the most capable rig in my collection when it's done. Partly because I'm putting such a lightweight body on it. I've gone and chopped the heck out of this body so I could fit these 4.75 inch tires on it. I've gone and pinched the front end, and I pinched and glued this. I glued this back together using JB plastic weld. It's the yellow translucent 2-part mix, and that's what I like to use for bodies. It's also what I use on Chevy truck conversions when I was doing those. And if you want to permanently bond two pieces of plastic together, I like to use JB plastic weld for that. But this body mount obviously is for the Mojave 2-door. I've got Mojave 4-door going for this, and I can't remember what other mounts. I'd have to look on the website to see what other body options I'm offering for this. I think I'm offering the Scottsdale for it too, and these mounts are going to work for the VRD carbon. They're also going to work for the VRD stance. So that's a new body mount. As far as YouTube goes, I don't think I've announced this on YouTube yet, but that's what those look like from underneath, from under. So these are about ready to go. I just need to get this body painted up. And like I said, I've been putting off posting about it because I wanted to show it all finished and everything, but it's taken so long I decided I might as well just show it to you. Especially now that they came out with the stance. And the stance is a really similar chassis to this. The rails, instead of being carbon fiber or aluminum, they have some parts internally that are made using a less expensive process. And there's a couple other little small changes, but as far as the shape of the frame and the way everything's going to fit on it, it's going to be real similar to this. You don't have to cut this much. The only reason I had just to put this body on this chassis, as long as you put a small tire on it. But I wanted to run some big old tires on here. These are the big Vanquish 475s. If you're going to do that, you've got to cut this open, and that's just a function of this size tire with this size body. Just like in real life, you can't run 48-inch tires on a stock truck without cutting the heck out of it. And it's the same thing that's true for RCs. Let's see. So on that same topic, I'm going to play musical trucks here. Let me put this one over here. Another new body mounts I've been working on. This isn't finished yet. See, I don't have the rear end even attached, and I don't even have the shock towers installed in the back. This is the new RedCat Ascent. I started off with the red one, and these are the body mounts I'm working on for the RedCat Ascent. Right now I'm showing this one with some small tires on it. I'm probably going to leave pretty small tires. I think I'll go a little bit bigger than these. I'm probably going to go up to a 4.19. I think what I'm looking at here is some 3.9s. But I'm going to go up to a 4.19 tire for this truck. And next weekend, as soon as I get the thing I don't have dialed in yet, is see that position of that back tire there? I'm going to scoot that back just a little bit more. And to do that, I've got to figure out the right links and rod ends to put on here. And then I also put those links and rod ends on the website for anybody that's purchasing these mounts. Most of these, you need to change the rear links or the rod ends on the rear links to get the rears to line up. They advertise all these RC four-wheel drive bodies as a 12.3-inch wheelbase. In reality, when you're running them with a link system, the wheelbase needs to be a little bit longer for your tires to line up correctly in the wells. So the reason it's taken me a little bit longer on this one is, you know, I really like this chassis, this RedCat Ascent chassis. I think it's going to be a real performer, and I like the way it fits with hard bodies because the motor sits so far forward and the transmission is so low. One of the things they did that I thought was a little bit weird is they're using a 3mm thread on their links. And these days, most of the trucks are running 4mm threads on the links. And so it's pretty easy to figure out a combination that you need for them. On here, I've already gone and tried some slightly longer rod ends on here to bring this back a little bit, still keeping the stock links, and it just didn't get me as much length as I want. I've ordered up some longer rod ends, so I'm going to put those on Friday when they get here. And, well, you don't know what day it is, but you get my point. In a few days, I'm going to put the longer rod ends on here. And once I have that, I'll be able to put the right recommendation on the website, and I'll go ahead and release these. But that's what that's going to look like. On the long wheelbases, you're going to be able to run rock sliders with them. I've got holes in them for rock sliders. That's going to fit a Axial SCX 10.2 style or SSD Trail King style rock slider. And I think I've got them on. You can see on here, I've been doing some testing with this body on this chassis too. So I've got it in pieces so I can check the fitment of everything. I'm going to run the extra cab body mounts just a little bit higher than the other ones. And the reason I'm doing that is the interior, at the height that I normally would run, the interior needed to be trimmed to fit in there. And I figured out that by just raising up the body about 6mm on this RedCat, you can avoid having to do any trimming to the interior at all. And so I thought that was really nice. Oh, other than you need to trim the skirt. Where the interior comes down, there's a skirt that runs along the whole side of here and fills up. Let me see if I can get this open. Yeah. Right down there, the interior skirt comes down so low that it crashes into the top of the body mount. And you need to trim about 2mm off that whole edge of that skirt. I use a Dremel, drag a Dremel along that edge, and then file it a little bit to get it clean and smooth. And you can see by doing exactly 2mm, it doesn't leave any kind of a gap or anything. And then this extra cab is able to sit down on there. But what I meant by no trimming on the interior is the motor and the front drive shaft and the transmission all fit under there with no trimming. And that little thing you need to do to the skirt there, that's actually true when you put the extra cab on any of our body mounts. And that's because of the height that I needed to put the body mount out to line up with these holes that hold the body on to, where is it? I got a feel for the hole somewhere over here. But the side of that skirt goes down and it hits that body mount, and it'll keep you feel like the body can't go all the way down, and that's why. So you need to do that little bit of trimming on the skirt on the extra cab. Say that's true for pretty much all of our mounts. I am going to wind up putting some slots in the back of this bed to fit the shock towers through it once I get the links figured out, so I know exactly how everything's going to be positioned in there. But I'm excited about these coming out. This is going to wind up being the least expensive option you'll have to run a 4-link setup with a hard body once this is done, because those RedCat Ascents, they go for under 300 bucks. So you'll be able to buy a body and some mounts for it and have a 4-link, you know, good performing 4-link setup on a hard body for, you know, not too crazy of an investment, especially compared to like the, where did I put it? That VRD carbon. That VRD carbon is a small fortune by the time you put the Vanquish wheels on it, the Vanquish tires, and I've got the brass inserts in the wheels, and I put, you know, decent electronics in it and stuff. So that thing is one of the more expensive rigs in my collection. And this one's actually going to be one of the less expensive rigs in my collection. And it's probably going to perform nearly as well. You know, I won't say it'll perform as well, but especially not with as big a, you know, I'm not going to have as big a tires on it for one thing. And the chassis is not as lightweight. So that carbon is such a lightweight chassis, and the weight distribution on it is so nice, and I'm just really looking forward to driving that one. The other thing I've had going is I've been working on this Scottsdale. This is the RC 4-wheel drive Scottsdale, and you know, I've been taking so long to do this, and it's kind of a pain because I'm doing it on an already painted body. Well, they've gone and come out with a body that's unpainted as a kit during the time I've been screwing with this, and I probably would have been better off just leaving this body alone and starting off with a kit. But anyway, this is where I am with it, and you can see I've put the RC 4-wheel drive dually wheels and tires on it. The tires on this are actually from the Rust Bucket Edition Blazer. I swapped them out, and then I bought 2 more tires of the same type, so I'd have enough for all 6 wheels that come with the RC 4-wheel drive dually wheels. So that's what I got going on there. I've got our dually fenders on here. We make these fenders we've had these fenders for a long time. We had them for when you did a K10 conversion. This is converted from a Blazer, and I have videos about that you can watch. But originally I did these fenders for the K10 conversions on the Blazer, and they fit perfectly on the Scottsdale. Again, I sanded the paint down to the plastic, to bare plastic, and I glued these on using JB yellow translucent plastic weld. It's just called JB plastic weld, and you can get it online or wherever you want. This is a toolbox that was made for me by my friend Verde Scale. He's Verde Scale on Instagram, and you can put a spare battery in there, or extra thing, you know, whatever you want to put in there. And I'm going to be running it on this truck. And the other thing I did is we've had bed mats. We have bed mats for most of the RC 4-wheel drive trucks, and this bed mat is now specific to the Scottsdale. So the length of this bed is really similar to a 12.6-inch wheelbase conversion, but the bed mat for that won't work in here. You need to buy the Scottsdale specific bed mat, and there's our bed mat in there. That's made out of solid ABS. You can trim that with a mat knife or with scissors, and you can drill it with a new sharp fresh drill bit to drill holes in it. The one thing I would not do is use a Lexan type post hole reamer. Yes, I do have one of those, and I tried it on one of these mats, and the way those work, it starts to split the fibers in the print. So don't use a Lexan type post hole reamer on here. Make sure you use a drill with a sharp drill bit. You use knife, you can use scissors, and I say that because some people are going to be using these on other chassis, and they might have shocks coming up through the bed, or you might be running a roll bar, or have some other reason why you need to trim it a little bit. I had somebody recently buy a mat for the Mojave 2-door, and he's going to be cutting it down to use it on a Marlin. So the other thing I'm going to be putting in here is our bench seat. Let me show you what the body mounts for this look like. I like these a lot better than the factory posts that come on here. A long time ago, somebody asked me to make some. We've always been known for body mounts for these mashups where you're putting an RC 4-wheel drive body on some other chassis. And somebody wrote to me and asked me, well, would you make some body mounts for an RC 4-wheel drive chassis? And I said, well, why? They already come with them. And they said they didn't like them. And I said, well, all right, well, take a look. And I wound up making body mounts for them. And after that, I started making body mounts for all the RC 4-wheel drive trucks. So this kind of cleans up that whole lower end. and keep stuff from getting stuck up in there. They're nice and sturdy, and you can mount things on them too. You can put speed controllers and things like that on those body mounts if you need to, and just fills in that area, gives it a cleaner look. I think that's everything I wanted to show you guys today. And again, please subscribe and like this content if this is the kind of thing you like to see. And you can shop for us at shrinkrc.com. Peace.